welcome back to the channel. Today we're taking you back to the 1950s in Britain for a nostalgic journey through a school day in the life of a child. Picture this, you're a child living in Britain during the 1950s. Your house may have been a cramped two-bedroom terrace in a big industrial city like Manchester or a rural cottage in the rolling hills of Yorkshire. Regardless, the morning ritual is the same. Up early, washed and dressed, you eat a breakfast of porridge or bread and dripping before heading out into the day. No bus or car ride for you, though you walk, and if you live far away, you share a bus ride with other children from your neighborhood. The bus is usually crowded, stuffy, and sometimes late, but the routine is comforting. You know which seat is yours and where to stand so you can hop off quickly when it's time. As you approach your school, you notice the worn brickwork, the climbing rose bushes, and the name etched in faded stone above the door. You stop outside the school gates and wait for the bell. The sound signals the beginning of another day of learning and socializing. Once inside the yard, you greet your friends. There's Billy with his cheeky grin, Mary who dreams of being a dancer, and Thomas who lives on the other side of town. You all chatter excitedly about your weekend adventures or the new television show one of your parents has just bought. Some of you brought your dog for a friendly visit, while others came on their new rolly bike, carefully keeping it upright as you weave around the yard. The bell rings again, signaling the start of morning prayers or assembly. You line up in rows, first boys, then girls, and march into the hall in single file. As the headmaster enters, you fall silent. He stands tall, severe-faced, and carries a cane that he occasionally uses for emphasis during morning talks. When he's finished, you file out of the hall and head to your classrooms. Here, the boys sit at one end and the girls at the other. The classroom is dimly lit, dominated by a large blackboard and filled with the scent of chalk dust and cleaning fluid. Desks are bolted to the floor and arranged in neat rows. Wooden rulers hang from hooks on the walls, along with maps of England, the British Empire, and the solar system. Colorful pictures of Victorian children reading or reciting facts decorate the walls, reminding you of the importance of hard work and good manners. You sit down and open your books. The teacher enters and stands at the front of the class. After checking your homework, it's time for a morning dictation. You listen intently to the sentences scribed on the board and try to copy them out neatly in your exercise book. Spelling and punctuation count, so you concentrate carefully. Once finished, the boy sitting at the front reads his story aloud for the class. His voice echoes in the silent room as you listen attentively, imagining the adventures unfolding in the book. A sudden noise from outside interrupts the lesson. A shrill whistle cuts through the air, followed by shouts and the clatter of feet. You and your classmates peer out the window to see two men in navy uniforms directing traffic. They must be the local bobbies on the beat, you think, and wave at them as they continue their patrol. Back inside, the morning lessons continue. You learn about grammar and vocabulary, history and geography, science and mathematics. Each subject challenges you in different ways, but you strive to absorb the knowledge shared by your teachers. You also practice singing hymns, like All Things Bright and Beautiful, and recite poems by famous authors, like Robert Louis Stevenson and Alfred Lord Tennyson. Learning is a blend of memorization and repetition, and you sing, recite, and write out sums until they become second nature. Suddenly, the classroom door opens and a messenger delivers a message. The headmaster needs a few volunteers to attend a meeting at the town hall later that afternoon. You want to help your school, but also dread missing playtime. You hesitate, knowing that staying behind means missing out on the fun. At last, it's playtime. You rush out of the classroom and into the sunshine. The schoolyard buzzes with activity as children from different classes mix and play. Billy challenges you to a game of marbles. You gather round a chalk circle on the ground while he shows off his prized collection, smooth river stones encased in glass. With a flick of his wrist, he sends a marble flying towards the center of the circle. You try your best, but your throw misses and you lose the game. Disappointed, but it's just a momentary setback in the joyful chaos of playtime, Mary gathers a group of girls to play hopscotch. She calls out numbers as you toss a small stone across the grid of squares drawn on the pavement. Each girl tries to land on the marked lines without missing a beat. Meanwhile, Thomas and his friends race around the yard, playing tag. Their shrieks of laughter echo as they try to catch each other before the bell rings, ending the game. Suddenly, a loud crack rings out, followed by scattered applause. You turn to see Tommy standing beside a tree with a slingshot in hand. He must have hit the target, you think, smiling at his accomplishment. But now it's time for lunch. You line up and march in single file to the dining hall. Inside, you join other students from different classes and years and find a seat at one of the long tables. Your lunch consists of staples like bread and cheese, potato peelings, and watery gravy. Milk, carried in huge metal containers by a burly dinner lady, pours freely for anyone who wants it. The food may not be fancy, but it fills your stomach and sustains you for the rest of the day. After lunch, you return to your classroom for more lessons. This afternoon's classes include scripture, nature study, and needlework for the girls and woodwork for the boys. You learn about the Bible, classify plants and animals, and practice basic stitching techniques. The quiet hum of activity fills the room as your classmates concentrate on their tasks. Just as the final lesson ends, the classroom door opens and the headmaster appears. He announces that 2 representatives from the local newspaper will visit the school tomorrow to speak to the children about the coronation of Queen Elizabeth II. You and your classmates discuss what this means, marveling at the prospect of being interviewed by journalists. The next day, excitement fills the classroom as you prepare for the newspaper interview. The headmaster has gathered you on the assembly ground in front of the school. You stand in neat rows, clutching pieces of paper with questions printed on them. Suddenly, a hush falls over the crowd as the reporters enter, their cameras and notebooks in hand. They ask you about your thoughts on the upcoming coronation, your favorite subjects at school, and what life was like growing up in Britain in the 1950s. You answer their questions with the innocence and candor that only a child can possess. As the interview draws to a close, the headmaster thanks the reporters for coming and dismisses you to return to your classes. The rest of the day passes quickly, filled with the usual routine of lessons and activities. Soon it's time to go home. You line up and march out of the school gates. The bell rings once, signaling the end of another school day. You and your friends chat excitedly about the interview and wave goodbye to your classmates as you head in different directions. Some of you walk the long way home, sharing jokes and stories along the route. Others take shortcuts through the park, climbing trees and racing each other to the finish line. When you finally reach your doorstep, you know that tomorrow will bring a new set of adventures, challenges, and friendships. As you say your goodbyes to the schoolyard, you carry with you the values of hard work, good manners, and respect instilled in you during your time there. For you, school isn't just a place of learning, it's a community that shapes your young mind and prepares you for the world ahead. And that brings our journey through a school day in the life of a child in 1950s Britain to a close. We hope you enjoyed reliving this nostalgic era through the eyes of a young student. If you have any memories or experiences of your own from that time, we'd love to hear about them in the comments section below. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on our future videos. Until next time, keep exploring the Time Vault Chronicles.